President Trump won't be attending the inauguration. He's expected to skip the ceremony and leave Washington early today. So for more on this, let us bring in Dr. Larry Sabato. He's the director for the University of Virginia's Center for Politics. So Larry, I want to talk about sort of the whole overview, but first I want to get from you, your take on President Trump's decision not to attend the inauguration. Is this a missed opportunity for him, or, in light of what we saw over the past couple of weeks, maybe, this is exactly what his own supporters would expect, and maybe it would seem disingenuous for him to show up at the inauguration anyway?
Well, everything you just said is true, but let me add one other word: rude. It's just plain rude. The last time this happened, of course, was 1869. I remember it well, when President Andrew Johnson did not show up because he wanted to snub his successor, Ulysses S. Grant. Look, it's not done. Part of the genius of America is the small d democratic, peaceful transfer of power, which is symbolized by having the outgoing chief executive, even if defeated, by the incoming chief executive. But of course, Donald Trump could have none of that. He insists on the spotlight for himself at all times. And frankly, it's despicable.
So you joke about remembering the last time an outgoing president snubbed an incoming president. Well, but the truth of the matter is you have been to pretty much every inauguration, except for, I think, in 1985, right? It's canceled. So can we talk about the historic nature of this? Like, I know we'll call it, every inauguration is historic, but there are a number of key differences that would have been happening in some cases. It would have been a very different type of inauguration because we are in the middle of a pandemic. But boy, this one's definitely going to be one for the record books.
It's very, very different, although what really matters is the swearing in, and we will have that, I hope, right on schedule at noon. And of course, you also have the first woman vice president, first minority vice president. So, I mean, this is very historic. What Biden says in the inaugural address matters more than how many people are in the audience. Would it be nice to have 1 million people? I'm sure he'd appreciate it. It would be an exciting picture. But in a way, I think actually this is better. Biden is low-key compared certainly to charismatic presidents in the past. He's going to be judged on what he does, and he said during the campaign over and over again, I can hit the ground running from day one. Well, now there are no distractions. You don't have inaugural balls. You don't have 1 million people. You have to greet thousands of them. You don't have to do that. You can get right to work, and he's going to be signing, I believe, 15 or so executive orders right after he's sworn in. So this could turn into an advantage for Biden and the country.
We know that his theme is going to be American unity for his speech. And as I've been sort of thinking about him right now, this was his third attempt to run for president. Third time was certainly the charm. And I was thinking that in his own political journey, this was the right moment for him in so many ways. As a unifier working across the aisle, it's something that he did for many, many years as he worked in the Senate. And also, when I listened to him talk last night at the memorial for the 400,000 Americans who lost their lives to COVID, this is a man who truly knows what real loss means. It's still very surface for him, losing both his son and his wife, that there is a sincerity in his words that I think will have an incredible impact. How powerful and how pivotal do you think this speech could be? I mean, everyone likes to listen to a good speech, but a really good speech, you walk away with something and you're inspired and moved. Do you think he has the capability of doing that, even though, as you point out, it's a little more low-key than perhaps other presidents that we have seen?
Sure. And look, Anne-Marie, nobody ever thought Joe Biden would be Cicero. It's not the return of Cicero. But given what we are experiencing today, and given the sorrow and pain of the pandemic, and frankly, a lot of things that Trump has done, it's probably better to be low key. You used the phrase, probably the only thing Warren Harding ever said that people remember, return to normalcy. This is a return to normalcy. And so, in a way, he will communicate more and he will communicate better if he is low key and he gives people a sense of what's coming. It doesn't have to be phrases that will live in history. It has to be a sense of, we're going to reverse X, Y, and Z that Trump did that was totally opposed to the American tradition, and we're going to add ABC. People want him to focus on the pandemic. People want him to focus on the economy. People want him to focus on our racial problems in this country. And I think he will do, along with Vice President Harris, all of those things. And so at least for the start, he'll get a fresh look. We're not going to turn around American polarization in 2 or 3 days. It's going to take years. But you have to start somewhere, and maybe by accident or maybe by design, the American Republic got a president who really is perfectly suited for this task.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good observation. Larry Sabato, we have to let you go. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.